Hi, I'm Helen Driggs, Senior Editor of Lapidary Journal Jewelry Artists. Today I'm going to talk about a very little known tool that's extremely useful if you rivet a lot. This is a drill gauge, as is this one. This is a machinist tool mostly, but I discovered it in a jewelry shop and it's made riveting so much simpler for me because sizing drill bits, wire, and rivets is light speed now with this tool. First, let me talk about drilling in particular and riveting in particular. A lot of people are using this pre-manufactured tube rivets or grommets. They have evolved from the scrapbooking world. These are great and they make little gizmos to tighten them. I always make tube rivets out of tubing. I hardly ever use these, but they are fun and they're pretty and they're fast. So depending on what kind of work you're making, these little commercial rivets might work for you. The good thing about this tool is you can get commercially made tubing in all different sizes and gauges. You can just take the tubing that you'd like to use for your rivet and drop it in here and find which drill bit it works with. Test it. Okay, it's going to be that one. This one's too tight. So if you're a purist, you would use the one that's a little too tight to drill the hole and then file it cleanly to the exact diameter of this tubing to make a clean tube rivet. And then you would flare one end. I use these tube riveting tools. They're handmade. You flare one end of the tube rivet to create the head, insert it through, use a saw. Do not be tempted to cut your tubing with this. Use a saw and a tube cutting jig like this to saw your tubing to the proper length for your rivet, and then install it on the other side and flare it again. Also available is this kind of rivet, which is really nice. I love the brass that these are made of, and they have a really fat rivet head. The nice thing about these is they're also long and they're soft, so it's easy to rivet with these. They're also a commercially manufactured product and they're very popular now. The finish on them is like antique brass. If you search hard enough online, you can find parts and metals manufacturers that make these kinds of rivets for other sorts of hobbyist work like model airplanes or RC cars or people who build elaborate railroad setups. These kinds of rivets are beautiful. These are solid brass. There's also, I have number 30 ones in copper. These are incredibly wonderful rivets, and you can also there's enough metal here that you can file the face of this flat and solder it to something else and then use it as a decorative rivet with a soldered element on it. So if you can find these, grab them. They're fun to play with. Another hardware / riveting product that's out there now that's very popular is this micro hardware. I use the 080 machine thread. These happen to be stainless steel, but they're also available in brass and titanium. And they have little nuts, bolts, and washers and decorative accoutrements that go with them. These are fun to play with if you're doing cold connections a lot. You need a specific driver relevant to the hex head or bolt that you're using with the hardware, but a standard jeweler's screwdriver will get them in and out too. So when you're using this kind of stuff for making cold connections, it's a lot of back and forth sizing, switch outs of tools in the flex shaft. It can become very time consuming. So if you get yourself one of these drill gauges, it makes it, with the commercial hardware, it makes it super easy because all you do is you take the rivet you want to use, you find the hole that it fits in. This happens to be a number 54 drill bit. And the cool thing about this tool is each hole has the decimal size, it has the B&S gauge of the wire, and it has the drill bit number. And if you use the micro hardware and you actually cut screw threads in your metal using a tap and die, it also gives the conversion for a tap and die relevant to the drill size. So why I like this is because I can drop my rivet into the hole that it fits in, and then I can go right to my little drill index here and find the number 54 drill bit, and I know that this rivet and this drill bit are the same size, and it's going to give me a good rivet, so I can set them aside like that. This little one, this is the general number 15. And this corresponds with drill bits sized from 1 all the way up to 45, which is roughly this part of this drill index. For the little teeny ones, mostly watchmakers use these, they have a small drill index, and you'll see some of these drills are the thickness of a hair. I have mine in here, and they correspond with this little teeny, and this is the general number 13 drill gauge. I know you can get these at a couple of suppliers, and I know that Metalliferous in New York City has both of these. It's about, this one's less than $20. This one's about the same, less than $20. So, you know, if you're riveting a lot, go ahead and invest in these. They're really well made. They're the same thickness as a B&S gauge, and they're going to last you forever. As far as drills go, if you're, depending on the kind of jewelry you make and how far into the craft you are, you want to keep your drill bits organized. I have this great little index and this one for my micro drills. If you're not, you know, this obsessive about it, but you do use drills a lot, this little DMC, this is for embroidery needles, and it's the perfect size for an array of drill bits. If you're using a Dremel tool or something like that, you can take the collet for the Dremel tool and stick it in the little well with the drill bits that go with it, and that makes it easy for you if you're taking an away class or you're traveling or you're on vacation and you want to make some jewelry. This little fan-shaped needle holder for embroidery floss is a great way to work with the riveting tools. Also, the good thing about this tool too is depending on which kind of drill bits you buy, you're going to be confronted with different measuring systems. You know, these commercially made eyelets are 1/16 of an inch in diameter. So you can go to the Home Depot or Lowe's and you can buy yourself a 1/16 of an inch drill bit that will work with this. If you've got jewelry drills like this, it's off the top of your head. It's hard to figure out which one is 1/16 of an inch. So the nice thing about this gauge is it takes all the guesswork out of that. You drop your eyelet in the hole, you find the drill bit that corresponds with it, and you're ready to rivet. So get yourself one of these tools if you rivet a lot. I love mine. I use it every day.